Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Clues, Cues and Reviews. And I had a few videos planned. Admittedly, I've got quite a few videos planned that I need to catch up on. And I'd forgotten that 7 Deadly Sins and Fairy Tales come out early. It literally came out midnight-ish last night, or even 11 o'clock-ish. It wasn't really feasible for me to make a video there and then, so I planned to do it today and allow more time to do videos when I get a chance. So the plan is 7 Deadly Sins and Fairy Tale, and then everything else I want to do. There's a video I want to do on my other channel around the boxing that's been happening of this last quarter, the last 3-4 months, and what I think with that and the whole Team situation with season 6A finishing. So if you want to check that out, I always leave links in my description. Feel free to check that out whenever you like. Anyway, this video is all about the 7 Deadly Sins, chapter 205, the 10 Commandments versus the 4 Archangels. Whew! It definitely was the better chapter between the two. Let's get into it. So, one interesting chapter. As always, loving the 7 Deadly Sins hype. It's just a series I enjoy. I really enjoy how they do things. It's different. It goes against the grain in terms of a religious side of things, but I like it regardless, and I love this chapter for many different reasons. I've got a few thoughts and opinions I want to throw in at the end, but let's break down the chapter first. Okay, so we get introduced to the 2 archangels that were a ball of light last time round. We had a fairy-ish looking one called Surreal, which basically looked a bit like King, but an angel version or goddess version, and Tamil, or 3 heads, like essentially like a young man, a middle-aged man who's kind of ogreish, and an old man, kind of like the whole Indian god type of thing, and looked very giant clannish. They were making bets, and at this point in the story, they looked like they were underestimating the 10 Commandments, or just literally see them as inferior. So they start off by going on the offensive, and they got the same Omega arc, essentially the same type of arc ball type of technique that they captured all the other demons with. And it looks like they've basically caught Monspier, Fraudrin, and Derriere, with Galan grabbing Mashella, I think her full name is, and basically getting out the way just in time. This all explodes, and the actual angels are like, "Oh, we've done it so quickly," and it turns out that's not the case. They realize all 5 are around, and the 10 Commandments go into attack. Now it looks like, as it stands, I think Mashella hasn't really been directly involved in this chapter, but she's there. It's kind of like a 2-on-1 situation, two demons to 1 angel. So Monspier goes on the offensive with the fairy looking one of the 2 called Surreal, and he does his purgatory flame attack, which looks like it's engulfed Surreal. At which point basically she comes back, and he or she has no major damage, and she does this type of attack. Even though Monspier evades it, he still takes damage. So I think it's kind of like an unseen attack that they can bend to their will, which causes Fraudrin to intervene and say, "Let me take care of it." So that's basically their situation. Tamil, on the other hand, goes 1-on-1 originally with Derriere. So Derriere, the combo starting a combination up, and as we know with Derriere, the combo star, the more she hits you, the harder it hits you. So the more she builds up a combination, the more damage you're taking. It multiplies, amplifies, the score. So it starts off where he's like, "Is that all you've got?" That's like a fly's punch. The next one comes stronger, and it literally gets to a point where she gets like to 54, and it looks like he's been blown to smithereens, but he just regenerates, which calls Galan to do his attack and cuts him in half, but then he just regenerates. So it kind of shows you that the type of abilities are kind of essentially counteracting each other, but it begs the question, how long can they keep you up? Can they really keep the offensive and the defenses up between them? So what I mean by that is, can the angels continue to regenerate? Can the 10 Commandments continue to attack 2-on-1? Is it possible? And how's Monspier going to really deal with Surreal and Fraudrin as well? And how is Galan and Derriere going to deal with Tamil? Whilst all this is going on, essentially Lucidiel or Lucidiel, depending on your translation, basically wants to get involved. So he steps out, he goes to Nerobasta, "You look after this, make sure the door stays open so we can get reinforcements. These are the 10 Commandments, the Demon King's elite soldiers. We can't underestimate them. We'll need backup, and they'll be in trouble if basically that stops." And then it looks like he comes back, and that part just got me excited, because it's not him, it's Gowther. And Gowther uses his technique and basically has manipulated the mind of Nero Basta. And that's where it ends. That's where the hype begins. So it gives me a little bit of time to discuss a few elements and a few little pinning points I want to make sure is considered. Now, let's start off with the 10 Commandments. Under the understanding that at this stage, basically Meliodas has killed 2 of the 10 Commandments, there should be 8. There should at least be 8, right? Of which we've seen 6. Now, with that being said, Dolo and Glashina haven't joined them yet, so they don't take up them spots. And we haven't really seen who the other 2 are. Actually, we have seen one who look like he's a Viking type of character, but he's not in the fray at the moment. He's not involved, and there's another one somewhere. It's interesting that's mentioned by, I think mentioned by Monspier, that he talks about other battlefronts, so it could be possible they are fighting elsewhere. With that being said, there is still one mystery man or mystery demon left unanswered, and we could have had other replacements before Dolo and Glashina. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing, in regards to the 10 Commandments, they refer to Fraudin as one of the 10 Commandments, but Gowther is still present and involved with them. Now, we haven't really had that clarified. We just know that it hasn't been made apparent that he has left them, betrayed them, got lost, or lost his memories. So we don't know what he's doing. So is he still part of the 10 Commandments at this point where he's controlling Nero Basta, or is there something else at play? Now, with Fraudin being there, step in really, kind of a substitute, we need to have that clarified timeline wise. I think the author has really left it ambiguous just so that there isn't any plot points or any history that needs kind of re-going over to making sure. Sometimes what can happen is you can have plot holes in stories because of giving too much information and then changing your mind later on. So by leaving it ambiguous, it's a good way for the author not to create these plot holes, and I like the fact that he's done that. Now, with that being said, here's a question that I want to pose to people. Taking religious into religious contexts involved into the story, you know how it's switched around and people use it for inspiration in different ways. There's many inspirations mangaka use. We've seen 3 of the 4 archangels, right? So we've seen Lucidiel, Sariel, Tamil. Where's the 4th? Now, there's 2 things that could be with this. He could be with heaven, with God, or whatever have you, in terms of the equivalence in the story, or there might not be one. What I'm thinking, and this is my analysis, or you could say my theory, what if that 4th archangel was in fact the demon king? So if you look at history and you look at all the different angels, there's a whole situation with fallen angels that became demons, Lucifer being one of them. And if you look at the representation of the archangels we've seen so far, we have Sariel that looks fairy-ish, we have Tamil that looks kind of giant clan-ish, and we have Lucidiel that basically is a punk, but he literally looks humanish. So would it not be ironic the representation of the 4th one was in fact the demon king himself, and he's a fallen angel / demon. So that's just something I wanted to point out there. I know they did this whole thing with Elizabeth, calling a lady Elizabeth. I'm not really going to get into that, but those are my thoughts of the chapter. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you next time. Before that, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Peace.